and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you how to cut and sew this stylish asymmetric neckline basque gown with double layer of gathers. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, here is my pattern and I've gone ahead to mark out the basic measurement. So the first thing you need to take is the total length of your dress, and let's say the total length of my dress is 35 inches plus my folding allowance. So for here we're going to mark the upper part of this dress, which is the shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, and the shoulder to waistline of this dress. So first you're going to subtract your measurement, that is 35 minus my shoulder to waist, which is 17 inches. So the remaining 18 inches is for the lower part. So now I went ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2, which is 14 divided by 2, I have 7. I marked 1 inch at that point, and I'm going to place my ruler and draw out my shoulder slope. So after I'm done marking this, you want to find your chest line. Your chest line is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. This is how to get your chest line, and my chest line is 7 inches, which I made a mark on that point and I drew out a straight line. Go ahead to mark what you have on the shoulder on your chest line. This is to enable you have a straight line at this point. After you're done marking this, you want to go ahead and fold this into 2. That is the measurement you have there. Divide it by 2 and mark, and you'll be coming out by ½ inch on this point. After you're done marking, go ahead to mark your bust circumference divided by 4 at your chest line. Mine is 33 divided by 4, I have 8.3. Now connect from the upper part of your shoulder to that ½ inch, and from that ½ inch go ahead to connect to your chest line this way. So after you're done connecting, the next step is to go ahead to outline this, and we'll start marking out our basic dart for this dress. So now to mark our basic dart, I'll start by marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2. Your nipple to nipple is the distance between your 2 bust points, and now I'll go ahead to mark it on the bust, on the under bust and waistline. So my nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2, I have 3.5 inches. So that was what I marked earlier, and I'm going to place my ruler and connect, drawing out a straight line on this point. After I'm done marking, you want to mark your basic dart intake of ½ inch at both sides. Come down by 1 inch from the bust, and you go ahead to connect this all the way to the upper part and also reconnect. So after you're done reconnecting, go ahead to use your marker to outline this to make it more visible for you to see. So the next step you want to take from here now is to go ahead to insert your measurement. Mark your bust circumference divided by 4, add your sewing allowance of 1.5 inches or more. Mark your under bust circumference divided by 4. Replace the dart intake you took out there and add your sewing allowance. Mark your waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. So after you're done doing this, you want to go ahead to mark from your bust down to your under bust, and from your under bust to your waist, or anyhow you want to connect it, and reconnect to the chest line. So after this now, I'll go ahead to mark my bust dart, and to get your bust dart is the distance between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in the front is 17 inches, my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5 inches, giving me a difference of 1.5 inches which I marked. So I added ½ inch extra at my chest line because I don't want the armhole area to be low, because this dress has like a tube form at the armhole part. So after this, I will go ahead and I will outline my pattern. So the next step you want to take is to mark your neckline. I came down by 3 inches, but after that, noticing that the neckline is a bit high, I went up again to reconnect. So I went ahead to mark this out, but I'm not okay with what I have. So what I'll do is to come up by ½ inch again after this point, making it 2.5 inches from the shoulder. And now I will go ahead to reconnect this all the way to the side. I'll go ahead to clean off the lower mark that I have on this pattern, and I'll be using the new line on it for the neckline of this dress, and I'll go ahead to connect. So this is what I have. So I'll be marking my neckline of 3 inches, and I'll mark it at this point. So that will help me serve as a guide to divide the rest of my pattern into two, and from that point I'll mark ½ inch. So I'll be extending this by 2 inches all the way down. You can go down by 3 inches. So I'll extend it down there and mark it to this point. This is to create a little dart to tighten the upper part of my dress. You notice when you make a dress that is asymmetric this way, most times the side is a bit loose, so you can even use 1 inch if you want to tighten it more. So now we are going to mark the lower part of your dress. So first you need to mark your waist to hip point, which is 7 inches. So after this, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll come down by 3 inches because the basque started above my hip, and I'll draw out a line at that point. So after I'm done marking that, from that point you also want to indicate your hip just in case you forget. So from this point now, I'll come down by 5 inches, but after marking 5 inches, when I was extending my basque, I came down by half. So what you're going to do now is you're going to mark your hip circumference divided by 4 at your hip, and then add your 1.5 inches sewing allowance. So you don't really need that hip measurement, but it will serve as a guide. So I'll just go ahead and reconnect it. So after I'm done connecting it, from this part now, come in by your sewing allowance plus ½ inch. Let's say if your sewing allowance is 1.5, come in by 2 inches, and I'll connect it all the way from that 5 inches point we came down already. And remember, just like I said, I added extra ½ inch below it. And I will draw out the basque, which is a bit roundish and not too pointed. So now we are going to measure the part of this dress we have cut out already. So what you need is from your shoulder to waist plus that 3 inches point, not the basque length. So the basque of 2 inches, because from the waist to this point is 3 inches, and from there to the other end is 5 inches. So what you actually need is your shoulder to this 3 inches here. That additional 2.5 inches, is just for the basque. So making the total length of which we have marked out 17 inches plus the extra 3 inches, making it 20. And just like I said, my dress length is 35 inches, and by the time you take out 20 inches from it, what you have left is 15 inches. So if you're confused on this part, or you don't understand how I cut out this lower part, please go ahead to leave your question at the comment section. So when you're cutting this out, you're also going to blend out this dart and cut out. So after we are done cutting this out, I'll be explaining the lower part of the dress, which is the gathered part of this dress. But first, we'll go ahead to cut this out. So after I'm done cutting this out, we'll use this pattern to cut out the back part of the lower part of your dress. What you're going to do is add your zipper allowance of 1.5 or 2 inches. So when you're making the upper part of the dress, you're going to blend in your side or bust dart, and also blend in the dart on top to cut out. So after blending it, any excess you have, you can just trim it off, and you're going to blend the upper part. So we're going to use this pattern also to cut the back pattern. So because of that, we'll be blending in our dart, so that we will not be sewing out any dart at the back, because for the back pattern there was no dart at that point. So I'll just go ahead and blend this out. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So now this is the back pattern, and we want to cut it out. So if you notice, I marked out a zipper allowance already. So I'll place this after the zipper line now, and I will be cutting it out. So to cut out, you remember the back pattern started from the chest line, so I'll just blend it out this way, and I'll go ahead to trace out what I have on that part and trace it down to the side of my pattern this way. So after I'm done tracing this out, I'll go ahead to unpin my pattern. So to avoid the zip from popping up, I will take out my zipper bulge, that is ½ inch from your waistline, and I'll take it all the way up and come down by ½ inch at the zipper to avoid my zip popping up after you're done sewing this. So this is what my pattern looks like. You can go ahead to replace this ½ inch that intake you took out at the waistline, and you're going to blend it off this way. So after I'm done blending it, I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern, and this will serve as my back pattern. For the sleeve of this dress, you'll be attaching it while you're sewing it, and also for the ruffle on the dress, we'll be cutting that out when we are sewing it. So for the lower part of this dress, so remember, after we are done marking what we have, which is our shoulder to waist plus extra 3 inches, so minus the basque is not included to the basque length. So what we have is 35 minus 20, giving us 15 inches. So that 15 inches for the first layer of the dress will be 15 inches, and for the second layer of the dress I'll be using about 7 inches for it, or 6 inches thereabout, because it is shorter than what we have underneath it. So with this, we have come to the end of today's tutorial. Also join us in our next video when we'll be making this dress.